Okay, I think we are live. So hello everybody, and we just give each other a minute or so to connect. And while we wait, it would be great to know where you're joining from, and also what brings you today. So I just can tell welcome to today's session. I'm Beate, and I'm joined by my colleague Serene.
Hi everyone, Serene also from Rapidi. I'm glad to have you today.
So for the next 60 minutes, we're going to talk about something that many companies run into eventually, which is namely the gap between CRM and ERP. What are the costs for this gap and what it actually takes to close it? So let me see. Just a brief say about our conversation today and the format. It's going to be an interview style with two special guests that we have today on this call, which we are excited about. And those two people are actually designed one of our integration solutions between Salesforce and Dynamics nav for a customer called Thames Water in the UK. So in this session, we will go through like in three parts. First of all, we will look at the problem they had, and afterward we will share what solution and what results it gave. And in the end, of course, we have some Q&A, and we have a small gift for you, for everyone who stays until the end, which we will tell you about a little bit later.
Yeah, so drop your questions in the Q&A panel at any point in time during the session, and we will go through all of them at the end.
Very good. So just before we jump into the actual story, let me present those who are on this call today. So from Rapidi side, as already mentioned, I'm Beate Thompson, one of the founders of Rapidi. And Rapidi quickly as a company provides data integration solutions, meaning that we connect business systems so that you can actually move your data between them. And our specialty is linking, for example, CRM and ERP systems today that we talk about also in this today's call. Like you have Salesforce, HubSpot, or Business Dynamics Sales, and with the Microsoft Dynamics ERPs. This could be an example, but we also support other systems and databases. So I will be hosting mainly the conversation today, but together with my co-host, Serene from Rapidi. Serene will be running the live chat and look for your questions. And then in the end, she will also take those questions during this Q&A section.
Thank you, Beate. Hi again. Looking forward to the questions, so don't hold back.
Super. So on the guest side, we're joined by two great people from KEC Consulting. We call them KEC for short. KEC is our UK, Australian-based business dynamics implementation partner, and they specialize in business dynamics nav and Microsoft Dynamics nav and Business Central implementation for large enterprise customers, and they are also the team behind the data integration solution for Thames Water, so that we will talk about today. So welcome, you guys. So first of all, we have Lawrence Sidney, who is the CEO of KEC. He has been in relationship with Thames Water for over 20 years, I think. So, and he's going to tell you the story from more or less the business side. And yeah, Lawrence, great to have you and welcome.
Thanks, Beate. It's great to be here as well. And I apologise. I had a latte a moment ago. I'd asked for a flat white, but they gave me a latte, which those people who follow KEC on LinkedIn will know him alternately as Dynamics Dog. So if you don't know Dynamics Dog, then follow us on LinkedIn. But we can talk about that more later on as well. But yep, great to be here today to talk to you all.
Yeah. Appreciate Lawrence for making the time for us on this webinar. And yeah, I shall warn you, as he just a little bit came into, he has some built-in dry humor in his rhetoric, and he is in fact Australian, of course. So be forgiven with him.
Please.
Okay, for the second guest, we have Paul Eisel, who is a senior technical consultant at KC, and actually been the technical lead on the solution that we worked on together for Thames Water.
Yeah.
So Paul, also a warm welcome to you.
Hi guys, glad to be here.
Yeah, and also appreciate the time that you spent with us today.
No problem.
So let's get started. So Lawrence, one question for you. Before we get into the integration itself, can you paint that picture for us? Who is Thames Water as a company, and what was Thames Water dealing with, and what does the IT estate look like, and where does the story actually start? So over to you.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so I'm here representing Thames Water, although I'm their NAV business partner, and I've had the pleasure of working with Thames since at least March 2000. There have been pieces of change that we've found in upgrades that had my initials and documents inside the system, dating back to at least then. So I've been with them on quite a journey and seen a lot of changes within their institution. For those who don't know them, they are the largest water company in the UK. They service all of the London and the Thames Valley, which is somewhere around about 15 million people, their household water, and they look after about 600 something thousand commercial water and waste providers. Over the years, we've through our Navision implementation with them, we've worked with about 40 different divisions across their estate, and they're raising somewhere between 850 900 million pounds a year in revenue on their Navision billing and collection system in the non-household. So we look after all of the non-household. In amongst those 40 odd divisions that we deal with, we look after billing and collections, and we report into SAP Core Finance, but all of those individual operational divisions have over the last 150 years built and acquired applications that they think are relevant to their operations, and that's left Thames with over 400 applications spread across it. So I mean, you can do the maths, even the basic maths.
Wow.
Every division has at least 10 different programs trying to do something. And of course, that leads to inefficiency. We all know it leads to duplication of effort and inefficiency, poor communication, poor ability to be able to interface with your customer. And again, for those who don't know, Thames sadly rates regularly lowly on the statistics as a poor organisation in the water industry in the UK to deal with. And then so that sets the groundwork for where their operational side was, and then they made a corporate decision to start moving to Salesforce, and to try and eliminate as many of those 400 applications, consolidate them into Salesforce, while still retaining their Navision as their billing and collections and SAP as their core finance. So that sets the groundwork for where their motivation was. We needed to have some form of way to communicate, but we'll come to that. But yeah, their goal was to improve their relationship with their customer and customers, and to make themselves more transparent and easy to deal with.
Yeah.
Did they get there? Let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out. Yeah. So let's go to the problem, Paul. When you walked into the estate as a technical lead, what system were they actually wiring together? Lawrence touched a little bit upon it, but you can maybe go a little bit into the minor details here.
Yes, so they were using, or they still are using, Navision 2013 R2 for their billing system, and they'd got a bespoke front end that they were using for customer connections, and obviously they were using a program software called MuleSoft to connect those two, but it just did not work for them. It was very poor, a lot of problems. So they decided to move to Salesforce. So then they were looking for a solution to integrate Salesforce with Navision to cut down a lot of the manual work. Obviously, anywhere where there's CRM and ERP, there's a disconnect there, and you need to connect the two systems. And they were doing a lot of manual work, and they were looking for a solution to actually automate as much as they could and reduce the manual effort that people were putting in. And that's what we saw when we first walked in.
Yeah. And Ross, what did it actually look like for the people doing the work?
So they were duplicating work because they were having to do stuff in both systems. They were getting a lot of errors, a lot of problems, because obviously the human factor's there. So there's bound to be errors within the work they were doing. So they needed a solution to actually reduce the errors, the amount of effort, and make it a lot more streamlined and a lot more real time. That was one of the big things they were looking for.
And just following on from that. So the Water Searches division was running on a legacy system. I was actually around when they were building it, and we tried to pitch it in Nav back in the early 2000s, but they opted for a bespoke system built on Access, and then they upgraded it to SQL, and then they extended it, and they called it their OSS, or their one-stop shop. But after a few years, I had it renamed from our side as ASS for the always stopping shop, because every day there would be something in the interface, and the interface only ran once a day. So it was, there was no real time. It was all batched up. It was all handed over as text files, because the ASS, always stopping shop, just didn't have the capacity to operate any other way. And so on top of all of the people facing problems that Paul mentioned, and that's the internal, and then obviously if the internal people are having system stopping, then their interactions with their customers become slightly less pleasant. And then in the background, of course, we've got programs that aren't working, and so then there's increase on internal Thames support and KC support, to try and keep patching together the way that this ASS was always stopping working.
And that was reflected outside, and then they got this bad reputation as this worst company. So
and when you think about it, they were doing 400 invoices, 300 payments. Every invoice was basically, so they were the non-monthly billed invoices. That was new customers, 400 new customers created every day for 400 invoices every day, 300 payments, all within a single batch job that had a window of 2 hours to run, so they could all be processed and completed before the next day's operations began. And if it stopped, not only was it the Water Searches division that paid a price, it was the rest of the business that had to wait for the jobs to finish and be fixed and finished before they could get on with their daily job, because it required the GL SAP interface run at the end of it. And even it became so laborious that the jobs were offshored to India, because the people in the UK didn't have the capacity to deal with the day-to-day and the integrations and the fixes. So it was a whole raft of problems that just brewed up from having poor old cobbled together applications,
which also makes it harder to control, right? So let me see here. I think Loreen.
So I've got a question for Lawrence. Lawrence, can we put a cost on doing nothing? What was the alternative if Thames had not acted?
Right. Yes.
Pretty obvious.
There was conversations around that, and they pretty much, the division that they're in is a commercially competitive division. So it's not like the rest of the water companies that is a monopoly in supplying the water. They're a service provider that there are competitors in the market. and basically the rate they were going with the poor quality of service that they were delivering and the loss of customer, if they didn't change it, they simply would have ceased to be in existence, and it would have meant closing the division. It would have meant losing 40 million a year roughly. This was back in a couple of years ago when they were started this process. And so people's jobs, loss of a division, loss of reputation, and loss of bottom line.
Yeah.
And I think, again, because I'm Australian, I can get away with it. I think by the time that they were voted the 10th shittiest water company in the UK, then it wasn't just this division that needed to make changes, but this was the division that was chosen to be the pioneer of the ways forward. And the new owners said, look, even though we've inherited Victorian water pipes and their associated springs/leaks, we're going to stop looking backwards, and we're going to start looking forwards and look for ways to change. And that's where Salesforce came in at an operational level, and then the integration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is, Thames Water story is of course unique, but it's not unique for. It's not a unique problem for them with the disconnect fault. You see this pattern across all your customers, right? When they're not having connected your systems.
Yeah. Anywhere where any companies that have got an ERP system and a CRM front end system, there's a need for a connector to actually be able to send the data bi-directional between the two systems without having to manually enter the data in both systems.
Yeah. So let's jump to the solution, something positive. But when you walked into this to access this, what can be done? What did you find that the business team did not see?
Well, so they decided that they wanted to retain Navision as their billing system, and they decided to bring in Salesforce as their front-end customer-facing system, which was new to them. But they didn't know how they were going to connect the two. They didn't want it manual. They wanted it all automated, or as automated as possible. And they were using an in-house solution at the time called MuleSoft. Now, MuleSoft is a program that can connect the two systems, but there's no code in there to be able to do it straight away. So everything would have had to have been developed from scratch on the Navision side, on the Salesforce side, and MuleSoft would have had to have been developed. A lot of time, there would have been a lot of analysis, a lot of development, a lot of system integration testing, user acceptance testing, all which would cost a lot of money to the business and would have taken a lot of time. So we decided to say, let's look elsewhere. Let's not just look at MuleSoft. What else is out there? And that's where we found Rapidi. And obviously with Rapidi, there's no development work whatsoever. It's an out-of-the-box solution. So there's no messing about with development in Navision, development in Salesforce. It's basically just set up, install it, connect it, set it up, and link the fields in both systems. So that's what we decided. And then it was Lawrence's job to actually sell it to them.
Lawrence, you had some conversations with the solution architect that you had to convince, I heard. So if you remember right, you have known him for 20 years. So how did that conversation go?
So obviously one of the remits of the solution architect is to reduce the number of applications inside the estate. It had grown out to 400 plus for good arguments at the time, and his argument was, well, we've already got an in-house solution. The MuleSoft is like our SAP and is like our Nav. It's it's our firm default for integration. It's our firm fixed product. So you really need to have some really good reasons why we would look outside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Paul mentioned, there's obviously cost and effort on both the nav side to integrate through MuleSoft, and then also the Salesforce side to integrate through MuleSoft, because this was the first time that Salesforce was being implemented inside Thames. So they hadn't already built MuleSoft to Salesforce integration on that side of it. So they were up for a double cost, our side and the Salesforce side. And so when we presented Rapidi, we go, this is already working directly from Salesforce to Nav. You don't need to do any integration, any APIs, anything on the Salesforce side at all, except give us permissions to all the relevant fields and the relevant tables we want to have access to, but
Yes.
no actual code.
Yeah.
And no setup at all required on the Salesforce side, because it's all handled inside Rapidi. So that was I'm saving money. So that's
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
There's less risk. And now I would travel with this guy in the car. We'd drive from our homes in Gloucestershire down to the Thames office in Reading. In traffic on the M4, we could easily do that in an hour and a half, 2 hours. Traveling in to have a meeting that was only an hour. So, and then we'd have the hour and a half traveling home again. So we would have plenty of discussion time getting there, discussion with the rest of the organisation there, and then we'd have further. So I'm just summarising up all of these many hours in the car together into a couple of points. So less money is always a good thing. Less risk, because we can roll out the Rapidi history books and go, here are all of the instances where this is already proven. So we're not inventing something new. We're not the guinea pigs. We're not trialing it. So there's less risk. It also has more functionality in the standard Rapidi integration than you're asking for us to work with today. So as Salesforce's functionality expands, and the demand on the integration expands with Nav and perhaps other systems as well, which we haven't discounted the conversation of it challenging MuleSoft. But it's got the capacity in standard to move out, to adapt, to accept that more functionality, less stress. I mean, on him personally.
That's what it comes down to. Yes.
He's a nice guy who likes his holidays, but who can have holidays if you're stressed? And I said, he wants to spend more money and double their risk. So let's take some of the stress out of it for you as well. And he had meetings with the Rapidi team directly as well, in order, and people like Thomas, who's their technical Superman. And we've told Beate that he is a beauty that she needs to really be wowed by. He's awesome, is Thomas. And,
he is.
And so, and he played a part in giving Thames confidence that the product is good, our recommendation is good, that the company supporting the product, Rapidi itself, is good. And then, of course, as it progressed down the line, it went into other conversations with the commercial teams, and they had things like, what's the GDPR exposure, and things like that, and how do we handle the support of it, and those sort of conversations. So we were able to placate all of them. And again, it's one of the beauties of Rapidi is that it is. It's an interface, it's an exchange of data. So it doesn't hold the data, and the small amount of data that it does have, which is GUID ID sort of level information, is completely unreferenceable to anything in the universe unless you can speak in 5-5-5-5-5-5, hex 8 decimal 3. So maybe Rocky from the Hail Mary project could have understood but certainly no terrestrial based people could decipher it. So again, from another risk perspective, a GDRP risk perspective, it was eliminated through that. So I was really I know him. I know he's pragmatic and sees common sense, and he confidently took it to his superiors, and we got there. And as I say, it's its functionality is being expanded. We can talk about it more later, but the Salesforce is being expanded. There are divisions being added, and we can even start to talk to them now about other systems that it could replace MuleSoft as well. So
Yeah.
perhaps it could be the
Yeah.
future for many integration points in there beyond
Yeah.
just the Nav BC
That
side.
that would be really great. So
Would be
yeah,
pretty cool.
cool. Yeah. So, yeah. So Lawrence already said it, but Paul, I want to hear from your side also on the data and risk side. What reassured Thames specifically?
Yes. So they were very anxious about
Mm.
data, safety of data. They obviously store in their system a lot of names, addresses, and personal details. So they're very hot on making sure that they stick to the GDPR rules. And so one of their concerns, as Lawrence has already mentioned, was the safety of the data. And obviously we explained that Rapidi does not hold any data whatsoever. The data is either in Navision or Salesforce, and it just gets passed through. So that was a big concern that we resolved using Rapidi. And another one was latency. So there was a long time because the original system was only doing one batch run a day, so it was taking 24 hours for the data to be updated in one system from the other, whereas with Rapidi we can reduce it to as little as every 10 minutes. So it's pretty much real time data going backwards and forwards, and customers will get in their invoices, and seeing their orders completed in as little as 10 minutes, and that's what they see
Fantastic.
now. So,
yeah. Fantastic. Serene, you have a question.
Would you kindly walk us through the architecture at the whiteboard level?
Yeah, sure. So they've got Salesforce as the customer front end. They've got Navision as the billing system. They're currently using Navision 2013 R2, which obviously is quite out of date now, but we are discussing updating them to BC 28, the latest version. And obviously they needed a solution to actually integrate the two. So we've now actually put Rapidi in there. So that's sending the data from Salesforce and Navision and vice versa. Navision is also linked to SAP. They use SAP as their core GL within the business. And that also manages the household meter and billing systems. So so that's how the architecture is set up within the business. And as I say, now it's bi-directional, it's near real time, which is something they didn't have any of this before we introduced the Rapidi interface. Yeah.
And how long did it go from discovery to actual go live?
So it did take a long time. Obviously, initial talks with the business on what they required, analysing their requirements and the infrastructure they'd got at the time. And then we had to develop that, do various in-house testing, then system integration testing with other systems, user acceptance testing, and this all took, it was at least 18 months, 2 years from start, right from start to finish to actually get this all in place.
It should also be mentioned, sorry, Paul, that that part of the time period, that 18 to 24 months, was Thames implementing Salesforce and building the operational functionality into Salesforce. So the project's entirety was 18 to 24 months, and then the Nav Rapidi bits were significantly smaller periods of man days. It just happened to have to get spread across that length of time to fit in with the other moving parts in the project timelines.
So it was the whole project that took the 18 months, 2 years. Rapidi, to be quite honest, that was probably the the easiest part of the project
Once
to
you
do.
know what you want, right?
Exactly, because as I say, there was no development. Once it was connected, it was just linking fields to fields. It was mapping. It's basically mapping fields to fields. So,
Yep.
And
I
your
remember,
what, the
Paul, you
spaghetti
made
model?
yeah.
I remember you saying, Paul, the spaghetti modeling as well. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen that all
Paul loves
many
his
times.
spaghetti, but he doesn't like it in his IT systems.
No.
Exactly.
On a plate in front of me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. One last thing about like the collaboration between Thames, KC, and Rapidi. Do we have any comments on that? Maybe question for you both, so you can.
Yeah. So
you can.
again, lots of ERP implementations. They involve a lot of analysis and a lot of design and a lot of detailed solution planning at the beginning before you actually sit down and start to cut any code, before you're then able to start to do any testing. Because of the way that Rapidi works, where it's configuration and setup, and it's about mapping between Salesforce existing or customized fields and Nav existing or customized fields. Those design days was taken up as 2 days sitting in a room on the fourth floor in Reading, Thames offices in Reading, with a Salesforce expert on one side of the table, a Navision expert on the other side of the table, and Thomas from Rapidi sitting on in the centre of the table on a Teams dial-in. And over that 2 days, we literally mapped every field and where necessary, agreed bi-directionally. Where necessary, agreed who was the master, who was the slave. Where some were blocked from being able to update. If Nav is the master, then that data in Salesforce has to be blocked from being editable. If Salesforce is the master, that data has to be blocked from being editable in Nav. So all of that, as well as default settings, because there's more different fields in Nav that Salesforce doesn't have a relationship to, like the posting groups that you need to define. So again, all of that could be defined inside the Rapidi configuration, rather than needing to build setup tables and customize the nav side of it. So really, the core. I think I've told people before that I once designed a back-to-back purchase and sales inventory warehousing system for a European company in a Chinese restaurant on a napkin. I kid you not, in Manchester. In fact, it was a kosher Chinese restaurant in Manchester, and it was very nice. And I had that napkin for a long time. This was built slightly differently to that, but 2 days negotiation is a pretty fantastic amount of time on the level of integration we did, and the fact that it was the first time for both KC and the Salesforce and the Thames team on doing this integration through Rapidi. So yeah.
Well, one of the biggest things you need when you're doing this is expertise in from the people within the actual systems themselves. So experts from Salesforce, experts from Navision, experts from Rapidi. There was some people. To name some people, Jean Noel from the Salesforce side, we wouldn't have been able to work and do this project if he wasn't involved on that Salesforce. His knowledge was just what we needed. And again, with Thomas from Rapidi, his assistance, you couldn't do it without it. You need people that know these systems inside out. And on our side, we've got Richard, one of our developers. He did a lot of work with us as well. And these are the people you need. That's one of the biggest things to take from this is, you've got the systems there, but you need people to, you need the people that know how to work these systems inside and out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So let's go to some results here.
Oh, did it work out?
Did it work out? I have a nice
What
picture here with
What happened?
yeah, what happened? So the integration goes live, and so what changes for Thames Water in the, let's say, first 90 days, for example?
Yeah. Well, I think the most exciting thing by the end of the first 90 days is no support calls, either to the Thames internal application support team, to the KC support team, or to the Rapidi support team. So if you look for a selfish level of success of a project from an implementation partner, no support calls is the dream.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think from our point of view, that's where we are. From Thames's perspective, I mean, they're 24/7. Their website is open, taking orders. Their Salesforce operations are operating 24/7, and their Navision is able to take the invoices and the payments received and processed and delivered back to Salesforce to publish out to the customers 24/7. And the longest period of time that a job will not run in Nav Rapidi is 15 minutes. So if a job can be started and done in 15 minutes on the Salesforce side, it'll be started and done on the Nav Rapidi side in a maximum of 15 minutes. So within half an hour of the customer placing their order on some of their jobs, they're getting the answers with the bill, with the receipt for the payments. And whilst when that's happening, if the division's not raising questions with us, it means that they're not firefighting the systems on their own side before they have to take it to the internal support teams or the external support teams. So they're obviously handling it. And the great thing, again from a selfish implementation partner, what they're actually doing now is they're asking for more functionality to be able to extend what they're able to offer to their customer. So they're meeting and achieving what they wanted to do, and they're now able to have the capacity to start looking at how to go forward with improving their business beyond what they had. And they'd already extended it with additional functionality. We implemented direct debits. We implemented statements being delivered through Rapidi and emailed out to the customers. Lots of new functionality in the pipeline to come for them, and no support calls, which is
that's the best part for you guys.
bloody brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, Lawrence, if you can give us before and after in one breath, I think this is the slide that the audience will screenshot.
Yes, I think so. And like I said, we've got in quotes there because to me, again, as a from a selfish implementation partner, if you're not getting support calls, it means either there's nobody home at the customer side, which is a bad thing. But if they are there and they're working and they're not calling you, it's a great thing. And when they're reaching out for new things, and not to do corrections on their, sometimes people have to make corrections on their original requirements. We're actually doing new things with them, so that's always great when a business that's been used to looking backwards, and its new remit is we only look forwards, is now looking forwards into the next things that both Salesforce, Nav, and Rapidi as a required intermediary will bring for their business growth.
Very good, very good. And what were the unexpected benefits? What did they? Well, what was there something that nobody planned for? Like, did you experience surprises?
So I suppose, again, from an entertaining perspective, to a big organisation that says we've got to make ways forward, so let's change the entire operating platform that we run our business on and go from all of these little programs to a big Salesforce. If that crashes and burns on the first one, then there's no rollouts of 2, 3, 4, and
No.
5. The only things that roll out are the people's heads who are involved in making that first decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So because of the success of that first project, we've actually we will be going live on their second division rollout in this time next month. And from an
Wow.
elapsed time frame, I mean, it's probably 10 months. But in that 10 months, we had Christmas and New Year. We had their year-end financials where they had to stop, working on systems, and they had some problems on Salesforce that they needed to work through as well on the operational side of it. So again, we've gone from an 18, 24-month project down to what could have been an 8 to 10-month project for the second one, and in fact. First week of June, we're actually having a kickoff for the next division that's onto Salesforce and will go through the Rapidi integration to Nav. So surprises. I wouldn't have said that they were surprises because they were hoped for results as a consequence, but it's reassuring that the successes were achieved to move it forward. So yeah,
Brings us a little bit to the next part. What's next for them? You already touched a little bit on it, like the next division going live in June. What else?
yeah. So they've got 40 plus divisions that are in Nav doing 40 lots of different things, and some of them, like the one that we're about to start beginning of next month, is massive and involved in all of the infrastructure. So if you're building a new home, you need to connect to the mains. You've got to go through this division. If you're building a new housing estate of 5,000 new houses and apartments, you need water infrastructure. You've got to go through this division. If you've got a leak in your front yard, you've got to go through this division. It's all about infrastructure on the water side. It's going to be massive. We're going to be able to leverage our experiences with Salesforce, with Rapidi, and with Nav, and the integration processes to make sure that this 24-month plus project is going to deliver periodically, successfully. So that's pretty exciting. From a Nav perspective, we're underway on upgrading upgrading their 2 Nav systems to BC28, which is going to be exciting. And in fact, one of them could fall in the middle of the big infrastructure project. So that's going to be interesting to balance. And yeah, I think the concept that maybe MuleSoft isn't as secure as it thought it was as the integration partner inside there will be a nice to win. That will be a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
A hoped for,
Yeah.
but lovely surprise.
Yes. Yeah.
For your answer. Paul, technically, what's enabled extending without re-architecting?
Yeah, so I mean, with Rapidi, the best thing about it is, as we've mentioned before, it's all set up. There's no development. It's all mapping of fields between 2 systems. And because we'd already got the transfers and schedules already designed in Rapidi for the one project, and all the divisions use the same division system and the same Salesforce system, it was a case of just tweaking what we'd already done, extending them, those transfers to look at the specific data and fields within the 2 systems that second division wanted. And rather than designing the wheel from scratch again, it was just take what we've got, adjust it slightly, and implement that for the new ones. And this is what's going to happen with the rollout to all the other divisions as well. Rather than inventing the wheel again, we're just going to use what we've already done, tweak it, and roll it out to the new divisions as well. So a lot quicker and a lot easier than developing systems from scratch each time you've got to
Yeah,
implement a new
exactly.
project.
Yeah, that's what we tried with Rapidi. But yeah, I think we succeeded in that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, our experience agrees.
yes. So for someone in the audience starting this kind of journey today, what would be your single best piece of advice to the audience?
I think, as I said earlier on, the right people, having the right people from every department or every system that is working and integrating. So, you know, the Navision, Salesforce, and Rapidi expertise is required. You've got to have that expertise, the knowledge, and the understanding of how those systems are going to be able to talk to each other and integrate. You need that expertise, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without the people that were involved, and especially Thomas from Rapidi, because he got an understanding of both Navision and Salesforce, which is a big bonus, having the knowledge of the two systems, plus Rapidi itself, of course, which he knows inside out.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest things you've got to have before you even start thinking about implementing a project like this.
Yeah, I got a good quote here from Lawrence. But Paul, first, one of your biggest takeaway from this project. Let's hear.
I think, I mean, I've worked with integrations and systems a lot over the years, and there's always been development, there's always been testing, there's always been involved with this, but there was none of that with Rapidi. It was just connect the two systems, map what you want, and it's just set up. You know, it's just setup of integration. There's no development required, and that was the biggest thing I took from this. You know, have an off the shelf, out the box product that's already it's already been developed, and you know it's already proven, as Lawrence said earlier on, and you know it's just a simple setup routine. I mean, I keep saying that, but it's when you've been working on projects and doing a lot of development work for these projects, having something that you can just do setups in is it's a nice easy solution.
Yeah, like set up and forget. That's what I
exactly
what I always try. So yeah. And Lawrence, last word from you. What should the audience walk away with today from your side?
Yeah, I agree with everything that we've said today, and what Paul sort of summed up then. Good integration needs good products. Salesforce, Rapidi, Nav, BC, great products, but they all need good people as well to be a success. And I think if you have the team from Rapidi, if you have a good team from Salesforce, and you have a good team from your ERP system, then you will end up with a good result.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Totally. So, before we go to the questions, I see some we have here. We have some kind of resource for you as a gift, I call it. First for everyone to have on this session here. We put together a little playbook for you, free to download. I think we will post it in the chat also for you, which is kind of a mini case story of Thames Water, what we discussed today, and then also including a mapping checklist to make sure that you got the mapping right. And other things that we have experienced, you should know before you start your integration project. And then we have also we want to give you a free 1 hour assessment. We from Rapidi and also KC, we want you to sign up for a free assessment where we can go through your project and see what the next step would be for you when you start this integration. So also the link in the chat here. So, Serene.
Yeah. So now time for the questions. You can drop the question in the Q&A panel, and we will some from the chat. I see that we already have one question in the chat, so I will start with it. So the question comes from Eniel asking, what's the most challenging part on the integration? Could you please share some lessons learned?
Yeah, interesting question.
Yeah, so I think the challenging part of integration is to know what fields and what data types are in the source system and in the destination system, and then to understand how you're going to pass that data between them. Are you going to go through validations? In the integration, you're going to do validations on receipt, where we use the flat text files that we used to get from the old ARS system. We used to bring it into a staging table so we could validate it all, because my model of design at the time was, once you give it to me and we put it into Nav, it's in our world and we're in full control of it. So we can do whatever we want to it and we don't care about what your integration problems are. Once we went down the Rapidi side, we realized that as long as that inside the integration tool, we can build rules and checks. So we were able to eliminate a lot of the staging tables and the validations. It was talking directly into Nav BC, using all the validation rules inside there. So so that was the challenges of any integration, and lessons learnt will come back to sit down with the people who know and can represent all the sides. We forgot to mention that we did have representation from the business inside that design meeting as well, so that they could validate that the information we were choosing was not just being built by IT people thinking
exactly.
what they thought.
Yeah.
So
You're right.
it did need a four-way rather than a triangle of
Yeah.
source, destination, integration, and
actual
business.
business users, everyday
exactly.
business users.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
And be nice.
Be nice, yeah. Of course.
Good one.
The people in on the other programs all have mortgages to pay and people to feed as well. So we have really good. I mean, Paul mentioned Jean Noel, and he actually came back into the second project on our request because the relationship we'd built with him was a close relationship. So, one third party supplier talking to another third party supplier to bring a person in because of the level of relationship and trust that we'd built up. And we knew that he would be able to represent the business's best end result and hold all parties accountable, as well as, our knowledge, obviously, of our side of it, to do the same. But hence why good people, good relationships in the project as well.
Yeah.
And also respect for each other's knowledge and work that they're doing as well for you.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Anil, for the question. Next question is, how do you handle change management when moving from manual to automated processes?
Well, change management is always a tricky thing unless you've got buy-in from the business, and when the people who are doing the manual processes realize that they could be doing better value added if you could take away their duplication of efforts or their manuals, then they become very involved in contributing positive feedback into the design side of it. And then our change management as an organisation, as we gather requirements, we agree requirements, we discuss solution, we document solution, we get sign off on solution, we then look at effort, and then we put together, depending on the scale of it, if things like this, where basically a whole business, the division, a 40 million turnover division is a company with 200 staff in it.
Exactly.
So it's about making sure that it goes through the rigors of testing, documenting scripts, we did system integration testing. We documented the scripts through ADO, Azure Development Objects. I think that's what it stands for. And then it's ADO, anyways. And then into UAT, user acceptance testing, with key users, and then into training with the key people, and depending on what your model is, whether you train the trainers inside the departments or if you train the individual users, and then go live and post live warranty support, and then knowledge transfer. So again, we're a big part. We believe in partnering with Thames's internal IT to be first port of support. So the more that they can keep inside themselves, the quicker their response times for solution can be. So every project we do with them, we have at least 1 day's knowledge transfer. But they come along to all of the user acceptance testing and some of the integration testing as well, so they're familiar with it. So so the change management process has a lot of parts to it, and again, it's also from managing it and controlling it, it's a tool to help the good people with good products deliver a good result. But it's
in the end, it's with people you deal with, right? So that's why the project also takes forever. But the actual integration, as you said, is just a moving piece you need to fix. So
we love people.
Yeah.
Okay. Lawrence, what's your advice on getting internal buy-in for an integration project from finance or IT leadership?
Right.
Right.
So the IT leadership for this particular change was, as I say, a lot of time spent in the car talking with Stuart back and forth to architect meetings and solution discussions in Reading that took less time than the drives. So I think again it comes down to having a relationship with them. If you've got a relationship with the people, and you can present yourselves as trusted, honest, reliable, recurring, reliable sources of advice, then you become part of their internal consulting solution, not just an external sales rep trying to flog a project.
You become part of that decision-making process.
Yeah. And we always do everything. I mean, as I said right back at the very beginning, I've worked with Thames since March 2000, non-stop. So that gives you time to, again, I know people in finance from that period of time, although I haven't spent hours in the car with all of them. They're not quite as exciting. They don't want to be that far away from their Excel spreadsheets. Which, as a chartered accountant, I'm allowed to make accounting jokes. So that's okay. The finance and commercial team, they're interested in the money side, The business was won over when they knew that they were just bleeding effort into, on the floor for no value, and we were putting forward part of the solution to allow them to bring value back into their division and the value of their lives to contribute something as a result. And so then when the finance team is talking to IT, they're talking to the business, they're talking with us, they know us as well, then they're getting a coherent message from all the parties that are contributing into the discussion that there's benefit in going forwards. So relationships and time.
So I think we have one. Let's take one last question. Let me just see. I think we would take this. If you're a smaller company wanting to do something like this, what would you tell them? What would you tell them where to start?
Well, from a very selfish perspective, the first thing I would say is look at Business Central as your ERP solution. It is bloody brilliant. It is a bit like me. It's built on tried and tested technology over a very long period of time. I have worked on Navision since Navision 1.0. I was involved in implementing it in Bristol, back in 1997, and I've
Yeah.
been with NAV and BC all the way through. So
Yeah.
for a product that's got legs and history and is looking
Yeah.
forward, then I think BC is a great start to go from your enterprise. Again, our experience is now with Salesforce. So if you're an organization that's looking at Salesforce on operational sides or CRM sides, then find a good partner for that. And then obviously Rapidi is the only integration that we will have to deal with on between the two of them. And again, I'm going to talk out of turn because I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, the Salesforce partners that I know are Accenture and Wipro and IBM. So they're, if you're a small company, I would strongly advise you don't deal with Accenture or IBM. Wipro you can deal with. I love the guys from Wipro. In fact, I sometimes exchange my Vegemite sandwiches for their at lunchtime for their home cooked vegetarian spicy rice lunches. There's
Great.
nothing like home cooked Indian from the Wipro team. Anyways, but
Anyways,
I would
yeah.
imagine if you spoke to the Rapidi team, then they would be able to give you guidance on a range of Salesforce partners, or depending on what your front end or back end solution is, they could give you recommendations on your region or your industry, on who could be potentially good partners from their experience on looking
Yeah,
across
definitely.
both sides of the
And
fence.
in the playbook we have created, we will also have some advice there. So take a look at that also, and always feel free to reach out to us, of course. So yeah,
So to improve our webinars, please give us feedback. We have our survey link here. You'll also find it in the chat, and we will really appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. So we are a little bit over time, but just time for some closing words here. Thank you for everyone for joining us today. We hope you found it really useful, and thank you so much, Lawrence and Paul, for sharing your Thames Water story. It was really, well, also eye-opening for us to see the real world and
No problem.
a concrete example here. And yeah, we will send you a follow-up. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you for having us along to
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
and thank everyone who's attended or who's going to listen to this afterwards as well for their
Yes.
time, and hopefully they'll take away some interesting stuff from some of the things we've said today.
Yes,
Yeah.
and feel free to reach out to us via LinkedIn. I've posted we have it on the slide here also, our LinkedIn profile, or you can reach out via email. Yeah. So thank you for everybody, and have a great day. And
Ciao.
yeah, ciao,
Bye.
ciao.